The United States has accused Rwanda of breaking a US-brokered peace agreement in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, warning it's pushing the region into war. The issue was the subject of an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council called after Rwandan-backed M23 rebels advanced further into the mineral-rich Great Lakes region.
This is what a huge number of civilians are fleeing. M23 rebels taking over another East Congo town, killing hundreds in the process.
There was a lot of gunfire. Many people died. Those of us who were able to escape fled here to Burundi.
The militia's rapid advance is compounding a humanitarian crisis and crushing any hope of peace in the region.
And the United States is profoundly concerned and incredibly disappointed with the renewed outbreak of violence in the eastern DRC.
M23 is the most prominent of more than 100 armed groups vying for power in the Congo's mineral-rich east, near the borders with Burundi and Rwanda. This week, the group took over the city of Uvira, the Congo government's last major foothold in the South Kivu region. The rebels' advance pushed the conflict to the doorstep of neighbouring Burundi, which has also reported military activity in its territory, heightening fears of a regional conflict.
So rather than a march towards peace, as we saw under President Trump's leadership in recent weeks, Rwanda is leading the region towards increased instability and war.
Waltz is referring to the peace deal signed by the Congolese and Rwandan leaders in Washington in early December. It raised hopes for an end to the 3 decades of conflict, which has displaced more than 7 million people. The United Nations describes it as one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. In the past 10 days alone, another 200,000 people have been displaced.
We fled the fighting and left everything behind. Even the children are missing. All our neighbors were killed by bombs. All the houses are burned, and we arrived without clothes. This is how it is. Food is a problem. Toilets are a problem. Water is a problem.
The UN Security Council applied pressure on M23 and Rwanda to end the fighting in the hope that diplomacy can become reality.
DW correspondent Sella Oneko joins us now from Nairobi. Sella, after this signing, rather than calm, it appears the situation is deteriorating. Can you bring us up to speed on the latest?
Yes, I mean, as you just saw, the humanitarian situation in the region around Uvira is deteriorating very fast at the moment, because basically this was the biggest offensive that that the region saw from M23 because basically they were based up in around Goma in North Kivu and have now gone further to South Kivu. And so this has really caused a displacement, a large displacement of people, around 200,000, as the UN said. And it's also basically caused casualties and wounding of civilians. And we've also heard from aid organizations such as International Red Cross, who have said that they're trying to, in the last few days, they've been trying to move people from, for example, villages where people were, and smaller hospitals where people were injured, to Uvira. But now that M23 has taken over Uvira, this might be more difficult to coordinate.
Now, the US is accusing Rwanda itself of breaking the peace agreement that is signed with the DRC. Where does this leave this truce?
It leaves us in a very difficult situation, obviously, because, I mean, the peace deal with Rwanda was just signed about a week ago, but this is not the only, this is not the only peace deal that is being negotiated. There's also more further peace talks going on in in Doha with M23. And at the moment, all sides are blaming each other. So Rwanda is blaming the Congolese and Burundian government for allegedly bombing areas close to the border. The Congolese government is blaming Rwanda for backing the M23, and Rwanda, of course, denies that it is involved in this conflict. So that puts everything in a very difficult situation. Also, the United States has been very vocal, I think, because they have because of this peace deal that they signed last week, and there were also plans of economic cooperation between the two countries. And so this will all become much more difficult with what is happening at the moment.
Now, there is talk of a wider conflict that could pull in more countries in the region. You mentioned even Burundi there. So how serious is this threat?
Well, for Burundi, it's become very, very close because Uvira is just 20 kilometers from Burundi's capital, Bujumbura. So it's very close to the Burundian government, very close to most of the Burundian population living in the capital, and it's also brought refugees across the border. So this is something that Burundi, as a small country, will have to deal with more now. It's also the border between Burundi and Congo in that area is also a major trade route. So that also cuts eastern DRC off from that trade route through Burundi, and on the other side cuts off Burundi from one of its major trading partners. So we'll have to see how that develops in the next few weeks and days.
Okay. DW's Sella, Oneko in Nairobi, thank you for that update.